I want to talk about my favorite scene from Code Geass. It's not one of the series' many mecha action sequences, nor is it a moment of intense drama or tension. Neither is it one of the story's world-famous moments of strategic thinking, where Lelouch cleverly uses his environment to outwit a force several times the size of his own. Instead, it's a moment of almost meaningless exposition. It's in Season 2, Episode 11, right after the China arc. Lelouch and his revolutionary army fled Japan and sought refuge in China, where they enabled a rebellion and acquired a new safe haven for themselves. He is walking into his private chamber alongside C2, his love interest, confidant, and partner in crime. The scene is mostly just a dry exchange between them as she asks questions about his intentions, and he explains that he wants to use the new Chinese government as an intelligence network. There should be nothing interesting here to talk about, but the scene captivates me as an incredible moment of visual storytelling. This is, to me, one of the most romantic scenes in all of fiction. Code Geass is not a romance story. While it occasionally dips its toes into the trappings of school-life romantic comedies, that is only for the purposes of shining a light on the protagonist's tragedy. He could be living a normal life if he wanted to, but instead he dons a mask, calls himself by a hokey moniker, and plays a superhero in hopes of one day avenging the death of his mother, and in the end he loses the bond he had with his friends at school. Still, through it all, he does retain a bond throughout the entire series. C2, the immortal witch who gave him his superpowers, is the only one he is ever emotionally honest with for a vast majority of the show. Whenever he is around his friends at school or his revolutionary army, he is playing up one of two possible personas, but C2 knows far too much, is far too brazen, and is far too good at backing him into a corner. From as early as the third episode, she is overstepping the boundaries of his life, forcing her way into the same role as Ryuk, played, for Light in Death Note, the only one to witness every last earnest edgelord monologue, the only one he can bounce his ideas off of. For the first half of Season 2, she is a mysterious, untrustworthy ally, one whom he relies on, but whom he holds no small amount of disdain for. After all, few things scare Lelouch more than being understood, being found out, and she's done both of them to him. But as she risks herself for him time and time again, as they bond over blood, steel, and tears, he grows affectionate towards her in ways that he's not always all that good at expressing, but when he sees her at her lowest point and she sacrifices herself to the clutches of a madman for his sake, he risks everything to bring her back and promises to make her dreams come true. So yeah, Code Geass is capital R romantic, but the truly passionate moments of affection only ever come in small bursts, a few times a season. The vast majority of the show is focused on Lelouch's schemes to outwit his father and all his other adversaries on the global stage by using epic mecha warfare. Whoa! But all throughout the second season, when they're about as close as they ever are in the story, there is this tone to how he and C2 interact that is no more potent than in this one scene of exposition. While Lelouch and C2 discuss his plans to use China's intelligence network, they trade some light barbs, including pet names that they have for each other. She calls him a devil, and he calls her a witch, and they smile while they do so. Lelouch makes a comment, implying he feels his outwardly cynical and aloof partner is more curious about other people than she lets on, but in a gentle way that doesn't push the issue. She clumsily takes off her boots and dress, laying around in light clothing while her partner takes out a laptop and begins working on his plans. While this happens, he absent-mindedly neatens the boots she threw on the ground. Halfway through, he notices the dress that she threw on the table, reaching mid-sentence to pick it up and put it away in the closet next to his jacket. This is the exact kind of behavior from her that used to get on his nerves, but now to him it is as natural as the sun rising in the morning. His cocky smile doesn't falter for a bit, his mind focused entirely on the master plan he's in the middle of narrating to her, all the while she is collapsed on the couch, clutching her emotional support plushie, clearly exhausted but listening intently, giving thoughtful responses, her expression shifting as she processes every word from his mouth. Every one of them is important to her, after all. This is why I find the romance subplots in action stories so often superior to the love stories of media focused almost entirely on romance. There's a lot to say about how, juxtaposing small moments of romance with larger stakes can make them shine brighter, but more than that, having the plot of your story be about something else allows the romance to breathe, allows it to exist without the burden of supporting the story's narrative tension. It's hard to imagine a scene like this in a traditional rom-com. It's about something else. It's about a war, but the small little details make this a more memorable romantic moment than just about anything that could be written when building your entire story around love. There are so many ways that the love between these two characters is expressed. There are passionate expressions of devotion, moments where they risk their lives for each other, tearful scenes of vulnerability and comfort, but none of them come close to this scene, in my opinion. A scene where a man who fears nothing more than being honest and a woman who fears nothing more than intimacy are so honest and intimate with one another to such a natural extent that it practically fades into the background. For a moment, you forget that this shouldn't come naturally to them. If you enjoyed this analysis, then I highly encourage you to like and subscribe and comment. All of that does amazing things for the algorithm and gets this in front of the eyes of so many more people. And, if you are enjoying the kind of stuff I'm making here, then I highly suggest that you subscribe to my Patreon. There you get a bunch of stuff early. For some people, you get it really early. And you also get some sneak peeks at some larger projects that I might be working on, some of which I scrapped, some of which are still in the works. And as always, I'd like to thank my patrons, especially my Tier 2 patrons, Carolyn, Vig, and Love Your Content.